Should you ask a witness about their good stuff during the cross-examination? The blue things, the things that you know help their case. Yes, you should, if you can downplay it. Because if they made some solid points during their direct, you need to have a way to attack those things. You can't let those things go unchallenged. If you go and examine someone and you only attack their red points, you're doing a pretty good job because you're bringing out all the weaknesses in their case. However, you're letting some of their good points stand unquestioned. And you have some questions about those things. You really need to say, hey, now you said this was true, but is it really sure as a certainty, or are you just kind of guessing? A lot of times witnesses will state things that they aren't exactly sure about, and there's no way for anyone to know 100% for 100% certainty that those things are accurate, but they're acting like they are 100% accurate. So you need to tell them, you weren't there, were you? Or you didn't actually study the specimen, did you? Whatever the good point is that they tried to make, if you can find a weakness in it, then you should try to do so. This is a big one for witnesses. Now, with all this talk about not letting the witness take control, you may think, sure, I'll just deny every single thing they ask me. I'm not going to give them anything. That's a bad idea. I don't mean to tell you to deny everything, because then you start to look like a liar yourself. Some things you need to pick out to be the things that you're going to admit. If it's impossible to explain it away and it's a red point, fine. Let them have it. Admit it. But you need to have a way to admit it and kind of explain it away or move on to the next topic. Because, if you were at the club and you pushed the victim and punched him in his face and you cannot deny that in any possible way, then go ahead and admit it, but tell them that you went home crying, regretting it, and that you would never actually shoot someone and kill them. Somehow you need to just admit the things that you can't deny and then move on to the core of what you're trying to disprove. You can always admit the little things. As long as you're not admitting to doing the crime, people are allowed to do little wrong things and not go to prison. If they kill someone or they do a big wrong thing, they're going to go to prison. So just avoid the big wrong things. You can admit the little wrong things as long as it doesn't lose your case for you. How are you going to prepare to be cross-examined by a witness or an attorney that you've never met? This is a big question by students. Well, all you're doing is looking at your bad points, making an excuse for them. You know what they're going to ask you because you have an affidavit that is the only things they can ask you about. So you don't have to be intimidated about being examined by a student that you haven't ever worked with before, because they're going to be your opponent. They're going to be either from our class or another school and you haven't worked with them. So you need to just plan on them asking you about all red points. And then if they skip one, that's fine. But as long as you're ready for all red points, you'll be ready for the examination and it'll be no problem. You're going to plan out a specific answer to give for every red point. So no matter what question they ask you, you're just going to give that specific answer that you planned. It really doesn't matter how they phrase it. You knew they were going to ask about that topic and you have an answer. It may not sound like it goes with their question exactly, but that's fine. You can just say your script that you've planned and it'll work out. You don't have to answer their question exactly the way they asked it. You can give your script that you planned ahead of time. So I think that'll take some of the intimidation off. You can be the one in charge, even though you're facing a stranger. Who's going to state the PowerPoints? Of course, the attorney. The witness should not be stating the PowerPoints during a cross because they're not going to play ball with you. They're going to be stating their own PowerPoints. So during a cross-examination, the attorney needs to be getting the PowerPoints out. If a witness makes a PowerPoint for their side, then good for them. But it shouldn't happen that way. You need to be preventing the witness from making PowerPoints if you're an attorney. The theme that I mentioned, the three key things, the plaintiff's gun, plaintiff's bullets, plaintiff's safe, that little quote or theme that you decide on, you can say that during a cross-examination. You can incorporate it into your answers. So not only did you say it during a direct with your attorney, you said it during the cross. So you're really brainwashing the jury. Be careful not to overdo it, where you're just saying every other sentence is your theme. Then it's going to become something the judges critique you on. But I think if you say it at least once during every single examination, then it'll be fine. If your team decides at least one time you're going to say that during the examination, then you'll have a memorable quote for the judges to remember and compliment you on. During a cross, how can you stop a witness? The witnesses are going to be trained to say their points and to avoid the attorney's points, and that's what the witnesses need to do. But the attorneys need to be ready to cut them off. And what you'll do is you'll say, thank you, that's not what I was asking. Thank you, let me move on to my next question. Thank you, can you please answer my question? Thank you, you've already answered my question. If you say thank you and you cut them off with a short phrase, then for most students, it will make them stop. But for some students that are really well trained, it's not going to make them stop. And they're going to be trained to say, well, I'm not allowed or haven't been able to fully answer the question. I have more information to fully answer your question. I have information that's relevant to what you're asking. They're going to be trained to give their own phrases and avoid being cornered. But the best you can do is thank them and cut them off. And then the last thing you can do is object to them with a non-responsive answer objection. So if you've thanked them and you've cut them off and they're not giving you what you want and you're asking them about a bold red point in their affidavit and they're just not admitting it, they're just repeating their theme and they're playing hardball, then you can object. If you're an attorney, you're going to object and say, objection, Your Honor. This is a non-responsive answer. Can you please order the witness to answer my question? So we'll talk about that during the objections unit and the objection cheat sheet, but just keep in mind, you can actually object, and that's the only time that an examining attorney is going to object. Usually they're getting objected against, but in this case, you can actually object to a witness who is not answering your question and request, say, Your Honor, can you please order this witness to answer my question? Your Honor, this is a non-responsive answer. You can do that. Just don't abuse that. You don't want to become a combative attorney or a combative witness. So as I'm training you to battle, don't make it obvious that you're battling. Don't be smart aleck like they are on TV. Don't get attitude like they get on TV. Just be smiley, nice, matter of fact. Hey, you're just telling the truth. Your Honor, this witness isn't answering my question. Your Honor, can you please order them to answer my question? Just be nice and casual and confident is the key. Anger and smart aleck attitude is not confidence. That creates just a negative atmosphere, and we don't want that. Impeaching a witness. This is an important thing that will happen throughout your cross. In fact, most of your cross should be, or a lot of it, should be impeaching the witness. What does it mean? You're just showing the witness is untrustworthy. Is the witness going to be kicked off the stand or kicked out of the trial when you're thinking like a president getting impeached? No. The witness is just going to look untrustworthy. That's what impeaching a witness is. You're asking questions that make them look like a liar. For example, bias. If an expert is paid for their testimony $10,000 an hour or $10,000 for the day, and they often get paid a lot like that. I'm not exaggerating. They do get paid a whole lot. And if you look at the experts' affidavits, they'll be talking about how much they're being paid. That's a typical bias issue every single year of a mock trial. The experts getting paid. So that's just a gimme. Every single team will know that. But a lot of other times you can find other sneaky little biases that are more hidden. For example, with this three witness model, usually the witnesses that are on each other's side have a reason to be biased for the team that they're on. For example, maybe it's a friend or a coworker. So you can always bring out, why are you testifying here today? Did you get a plea agreement that reduced your charges? Is that why you're testifying? Are you afraid of getting in trouble on your own? Is this just your best friend since high school that you're testifying for? Of course, you're going to lie for them. They're your best friend or your brother. So you can always bring out those impeachment issues. Another way to impeach somebody is for an inconsistent statement. For example, you ask them a question that's clear from their affidavit and they give you a wrong answer that's not in their affidavit. You can actually bring that affidavit up to them and show them that they're lying. But we'll have to talk about that in another video. Different topics you could ask them about are lies, biases. You're not going to ask them about things that just show they're a bad person, like, oh, they're violent, oh, they committed a theft, oh, they're immoral. That doesn't show they're biased, that just shows they're bad, and you can't impeach someone by showing they're bad.